Hey everybody, I'm Robert and I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. Welcome back not to the Nürburgring this time, welcome to Italy, namely Monterosso in Italy. I'm joined with Tom Stamp today.
Howdy.
We thought we would sit down, take the car for a drive and actually answer some of the questions that you guys had about it. As always, there's, I think, you know, 200 or 300 questions, not even a possibility to get to all of them. So Tom has actually gone through the questions list and got the ones that he thought would be good for today. He picked 8 to 10 questions, I guess it is, and he's going to spring them on me as we drive. But the deal is, what you guys need to know is that the GT2 RS has, right now on this drive, we're going to click over 35,000 kilometers. 30,000 of those are on the Nürburgring, safe to say.
Yep.
And then 1,000 of them we're driving down here to Italy last week, I guess it was. And the big reason, or the big question is, why did I drive the car down to Italy? I wanted to see what this car was like on the road. I wanted to see how it performed over such a long drive. And what was the practicality like? Something that actually I saw in the questions a lot of people asked is, how is the car set up right now? Rebound, compression, camber, everything is exactly as we would run it on the Nürburgring. So this car, I just drove down 1,000 kilometers exactly like we rolled it off the racetrack. I didn't change the wing down, I didn't do anything. And yeah, so it actually is quite practical. You can see right now, hopefully you can hear that the car noise is not that loud. I'm very comfortable in the seat. Are you comfortable as a passenger, Tom?
Yeah, no, it's a very comfortable car. It's something that I actually thought about when we drove it down here. One of the things I think we both were thinking about is, you know, we've got between 8 and 10 hours in this car. How's it going to be on the back? And I'm very pleased to report that this is a very comfortable car to be in for that kind of distance.
Yeah, I was definitely pleased. By the time I arrived, I was actually kind of hoping for a few more twisty roads, because as the drive gets further south, the roads get better. So after 1,000 kilometers, I wasn't just dying to get out of the car by any means. But let's jump right into the questions. Let's see what you guys asked. There is so much we can talk about this car, so we'll do a follow-up to this. So please, anything we missed, mention below. And I don't care what it's about. If it's cost of operations or anything like that, I'm happy to talk about it. So Tom Stamp, go for it.
All right, so as Robert said, I have the questions written down here, and I'm going to be time stamping for all you guys as well that are part of the chop and drop.
A little bit of behind the scenes.
So if you see me typing, that's why. But we're going to kick it off with practicality. So yeah, talk to us about the practicality of the car.
Well, so driving it down here, it was funny. The car had 34,000 kilometers when we left. I had never even connected my phone to it, so had to go connect the phone to it. I said, Tom, does this thing have Apple CarPlay? We didn't even know.
We were Googling on the way, seeing if it had Apple CarPlay.
So I don't know how many people have a car for a year and haven't actually started to hook things up, but the speakers, the sound system is phenomenal. It's one of the best sounding stock sound systems I've heard in a long time, even better than that fancy however many thousand Bowers & Wilkins sound system in the 620. This sound system kicks butt. I was really impressed with it. The practicality of it, going through toll booths and things like that, was not too bad. When you drive this type of Porsche, the back end feels, it's got wide hips, so when you're going through the toll booths, you are worried about curbing, but it really wasn't too bad. We left the stock seat belts in, as well as the harnesses, which I just sit on the harnesses. They're behind me right now. So going through toll booths wasn't bad. You can see when we hit some rough potholes, the car bounces a little bit, and I do believe that it would have been a little softer on that extreme stuff than it would have been on, or it would have been a little bit softer on the stock suspension and the extreme stuff. But anywhere other than hard potholes, I don't notice any negative aspects of this Manthey Racing suspension that's on the car. For those of you who don't know, this car is completely modified by Manthey Racing. It's a GT2RS MR, carbon copy of the replica car, that or carbon copy of the record-setting car for the Nürburgring lap record for production vehicles, 6 minutes 40 seconds, 0.3. So yeah, it's very, very easy to drive in these kind of circumstances. It doesn't tramline, it's not trekking the road due to the camber. Really quite pleasant, actually.
Yeah. I mean, look, one of the things, I mean, if you guys follow Robert on Instagram, you will have seen that we did a Q&A, and I'd say a very good portion of the questions were asking about the tires. Have we changed the tires for the trip down to the Nürburgring?
This actually is on the Pilot Sport 4S tire, the same tire that we run in the wet. So we run these same exact tires on the Nürburgring in the wet. Obviously, if it's dry out, then we'll switch over to the Cup 2. But obviously, for a trip like this, going through the Alps, it's cold out. We figured it'd be better to be on the 4S.
Yeah. Okay, that leads to the next question. Probably the probably the second most asked question of the Q&A the other night. Fuel consumption. How was the car on the fuel consumption? Obviously, it's a very long journey.
It was a long journey, 1,000 kilometers. We used 114 liters, so that's 11.4 for you Americans that don't like Google. It's about 21 miles per gallon, so 11.4 liters per 100 kilometer, 21 miles per gallon. People will say, oh, that's I've got cars that, you know, have bigger displacement and get better than that. That's fine. I think it was very, very respectful for the drive. I was very impressed with it for this type of car, for the speeds that it can do. And I did do some bursts up to some pretty high speeds, so I was quite impressed with it.
Yeah. No, I was equally as impressed. Actually, today when we set off to do this video, the first question I asked Robert is, do we have enough fuel? And he said, yeah, we got half a tank. And I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, you're shocked because we filled up quite a ways back.
Yeah, we did. All right, so people often ask this question, especially between the 3RS and the 2RS. We're talking about sound and emotion. I think it speaks for itself, right?
I think that what a lot of people don't realize is that this motor has a very nice growl to it. It's got a lot of emotion. It's very cool. Sure, is it sound like the naturally aspirated GT3 motor winding up to 9,000 RPM? No, it doesn't. This car brings you emotion in a different way with a very deep grunt, if you would. It's got a nice deep note, I guess is the best way I could say it. You know that this car is very fast. You know it's nicknamed the Widowmaker, right? And the way that the motor just growls, it's just like it's ready to go.
It's all low down. I think with the 3RS, it's all very high pitched, like
yeah, it is
like a scream. The GT2 is very like powerful and booming from the down low in the bass kind of section.
And so I don't feel that I'm missing so much a good motor tone, because I think this does provide that. But I do understand exactly what you guys are asking, that wailing Speciale or even V12 sound, or of course the GT3 RS 6-cylinder just all wound out. Yeah. It's something that I do enjoy. I love that sound, but I don't feel like we're missing anything in this car emotion-wise.
Yeah. Okay, so now the next question. What would you like to see out of the next GT2RS MR?
Well, the thing is, let's just talk GT2RS, because all what Manthey Racing is going to do is take the car, hone it down more for track use, right? And would you say perfect the actual trackability of it? Take it more extreme, which something Manthey is not going to do for their typical, or Porsche is not going to do for their typical customer, right? There's two things. One thing I'm worried about, okay? The one thing I'm worried about is, will there be another GT2? And I know this is crazy talk, but there's so much going on with exhaust gas regulations and all these things that are happening that I'm actually quite concerned for the future of this model of car, if you would. I feel like it's definitely in danger, you know. I certainly hope that it happens. I hope that one comes out and I jump all over it. But what do I hope is different in the car? It's something that I think we can already expect to happen. Is I'm really excited for the double wishbone front suspension, basically two upper and lower control arm that the 992 GT3 has just gotten. The one thing about this car, there's two limitations on this car, in my opinion, on the track. One of them is the tire, which obviously that's not Porsche's problem, that's not Manthey Racing's problem, that's one of the issues or limitations. And the second limitation, I believe, is understeer on the front axle. The understeer, I think, is going to be one of the limitations of this car, and I suspect and I certainly hope that new front end geometry is going to change that situation. That's what I'm really hoping for. So that would be something I hope we realize and see, and I have my fingers crossed that the next model will be made, because I definitely will buy one.
Cool. I think before we go any further, can we just take a moment to appreciate?
Yeah, I think the views are pretty cool, huh?
I've never been up here before, guys. This is all.
Oh yeah, Tom's never been up here. As you can see, a lot of people love coming up here in the Cinque Terre. It's absolutely beautiful. A lot of people are also happy because Liguria now, the COVID restrictions have been stepped down because they've handled the cases so well that the restrictions have been limited, and things are actually starting to open up again. So that's really nice. So you see a lot of people getting out and wanting to enjoy that. But yeah.
Cool. All right, well, going forward, so you've now had the car for over a year. It's done all the laps on the Nürburgring. It's now done this road trip. Do you have any regrets about the car? People want to know.
You know, what's funny is a lot of you guys, some of you will know this, some won't. I've got a lot of different cars, access to a lot of different cars, and for a long time I didn't want to take a GT3 RS because I was not liking the fact that this is so common at the Nürburgring. You see it everywhere, right? And then I ended up getting a yellow GT3 RS, and it was so funny because my first lap that I did, I came off the track with another yellow GT3 RS, and I was just dying laughing. I sent the guys a picture. Check this out. Look what just came off with me. And so I had my would you say, concerns about originality. I think that I love a car for being a good car, but I also want a car that I have to be somewhat original and maybe exceptional or my design, right? And so that was one thing I was worried about. I never doubted that Porsche was a good car. You could go back to a lot of videos I did with Misha, and I said if I was smart, I would run a Porsche as a taxi, right? I would, if I was smart, that's what I would do, because it would be cost effective on brakes and tires and all these different things. And this car has proven to be exactly that. It's been cost effective, and it has been the most reliable taxi that we have had to date. Hands down the most reliable. And I'm enjoying driving it like this along the coast. You know, I think it's a lot of fun. So no, I don't have any regrets buying this car. I don't have any regrets taking this and even running it as a taxi. The only regret I would say is that I didn't get to drive it more because it was so often in the hands of our drivers having fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just adding into that, I mean, it's so unique. How many cars of this caliber can you drive on the Nürburgring and have relatively, you know, no real issues, and then you can drive it down here and just cruise it around on the roads like this?
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty unique.
Yep.
Very cool. So, I mean, this would have been a good question to ask a few hundred meters ago. Attention. What kind of attention does this car get when you take it out the Nürburgring?
Do you know what's funny is, again, I'm kind of immune to that in a certain way, because we have so many cars, we see so many things, and I'm used to people checking them out and coming around the Nürburgring, so I don't notice so much of it, but I don't experience it so much outside of the Nürburgring, right? So when I'm out here, and also especially here, this car is completely foreign. You don't see these kinds of cars. You know, you don't see these kinds of cars out these places driving out here that often. It's not that common, especially in winter, right? No matter where we went, gas stations, rest stop, out to dinner, on the way, anything we did, people were looking at the car and coming up and talking to me. Several of them knew the car. People saw it, said they knew the car, they knew us, and that was really neat in Switzerland. We got hassled at the Italian border because the boys had a van with some stuff that we were transporting back and forth, and the border patrol was maybe giving a hard time, saying, "What are you guys doing here? You know, this late at night?" Because I think late at night is when people maybe smuggle drugs and money across the border. I don't know, and when they came around the side of the car and saw the stickers on it, oh, taxi, Apex Taxi, Nürburgring, okay.
Go.
And it was cool. So a lot of people are knowing the car, so that's really neat. But yeah, it is a head turner because it's not this. It looks like a race car, right? It looks very exceptional, and people are very receptive to it.
I mean, how many cars do you know that have carbon aerodisc on the wheels?
Yeah, I guess it's very, very few, right?
So that kind of probably helps. A lot of people want to know, would you buy a 992 GT3?
It's tricky because on one side I would, because right now it's the best. It's going to be the best, newest, greatest thing from Porsche, right? But on the other hand, I know that the 992 GT3 RS is going to be right behind it, right around the corner. So I have to ask myself, is it worth buying the GT3 right now, knowing that the GT3 RS is going to be coming? So I think that it's an absolutely phenomenal car. I think it's one that I do want to go and try and drive and check out and see what it's like, what the experience is like. What is the new front end like with the new geometry and basically the new kinematics and double wishbone? Something I'm really excited to check out. But will I buy one? I don't know about that. I guess time will just tell, right?
Let's wait and see.
Yeah.
I think personally, I really like how the 992s are looking.
I think they're looking beautiful, and I know that if I bought one, it would probably be for taxi purposes or something along those lines.
Right.
So the question is, you know that I want to run a Manthey racing car, so is there going to already be a 992 GT3 MR kit by next season. I don't think so. You know what I mean? So we have to wait and see. I will talk to the guys down at MR and see what they have and what they say, and put, you know, just see what makes sense. But I think it's a phenomenal car, and if you're thinking about buying one, get it, check it out, and bring it by so I can check it out too.
I think, yeah, talking about the whole Manti Racing, the MR conversion kits, things like that, that leads on very nicely to our next question.
Okay.
Which is, you know, GT2RS MR versus Schirmer builds. How do they compare? What kind of similarities and differences do the two companies have?
That's a really good question. I mean, you see that the Schirmer builds, they're out running fast, right?
Yeah.
These guys are out in TF running very, very quick paces, and the cars are very fast. But I will tell you that you won't do this right here in a Schirmer car. It's obviously not designed to, but the cars are completely stripped down and taken apart, you know what I mean? Yeah. So if you're talking a full Porsche build like this versus what Schirmer has done, I think that the Schirmer car has its place on the track and doesn't have its place on the road. And after driving the car down here, I mean, look, I'm cruising with a Fiat Panda and then a Jeep and some, I think that might be a Multipla up there.
I think it actually is.
Oh, that's awesome. Guys, one of the most hideous cars man has ever made is in front of us. Misha will love this. He'll love seeing this up here. But, you know, we're just cruising and we're talking and it's easy. And so that's what's so special about this. Now, can we argue about the price difference between any Schirmer car in this or any modified BMW in this? No, we can't. But it is neat to talk about those differences. This is easy to get in and out of. It's easy to just throw this seatbelt on. The interior is completely finished. This is a nice mixed car, and it is one of the fastest cars that you're going to find on the road or on the racetrack. Yeah. More so on the racetrack, but obviously there's some fast cars on the road. 720S will beat this in a straight line, but get them on the racetrack and it's no comparison. Yeah. So, yeah. What else you got?
Well, I think we spoke about earlier in the office. You guys ask us all the time, what's the GT2RS like compared to X, Y, Z? Yep. So Robert's got a bit of an announcement for a little sub-series. Yeah, so what we'll do is a little sub-series, and it will basically be, you guys maybe drop some comments below. What do you think of any of the cars that I have versus any of the other cars that I have? GT2RS versus 675, etc. I'll tell you how they feel, what the seating positions like. This car, for example, I love sitting in it with like this when I'm on the road, but I put a helmet on and my head gets pushed forward. So then they make these brackets that you can put underneath the seat mount, and when you put that bracket in, it tilts you back, and then you're in a more natural position when you're driving and looking out. So we can go through all of the different cars and talk about them from interior, fit and finish, quality, reliability, cost of operation. I'm happy to dive into it, and maybe we make it a standard platform where we have 5 or 6 categories and stack up each car in those categories for you guys. And I think that would be a cool way to get some engagement and get you guys some information. And if there's a car that you guys don't know or that I don't have that you would like to know about, go ahead and ask about that as well, because I'll do some research and find out everything. If I have a friend that has one or know somebody, maybe I can go jump in it and just get you guys some experience from that as well. But let's start focusing on the cars that I have or have had, and then we go from there. Yeah. But main thing, guys, thank you very much for everything that you guys do to help this channel, sharing it, you know, with your friends and everything like that, sharing your thoughts and proposing your questions to us, because that's where we get the ideas for even stupid little videos like this. You know, this is nothing spectacular, but it's actually answering questions that you guys had, and I think that's really cool. Let me know below what you guys think of the GT2RS MR. Do we look comfortable in it? I feel pretty damn comfortable in it, just cruising like this. I think it's a great car. We're getting our doors blown off by motorcycles, yeah, I think it's a fantastic car. On these roads right here, I might have more fun just driving in something with a little less power, because as you've seen, I've not been blowing the speed limits or anything like that. Maybe something smaller and less power. Think of like a Dallara Stradale or something like that. That might be a perfect little car for these kinds of roads as well. Top down. Yeah, exactly. Take the top off, cruise, and it's compact, light, and it doesn't have a ton of power, so you can actually roll on the throttle places and you're not going crazy. Or maybe the Multipla.
That could be something.
He's having a great time.
Yeah, he's killing. I mean, he actually is doing what we're doing, but with probably like 10 people. Right?
And he's ahead of us.
And he's ahead of us. He's currently in the lead.
He's currently leading the pack, so.
All right, guys, thank you again. Hope you enjoyed the video. We're going to stop and try and find a couple places to take the perfect thumbnail, I think, right? Let's let this guy through. Oh, he's going to let us through. What
we're going to do is we're going to stop and make sure the GoPro's still attached to the roof.
I still see it. I can see it.
That's one thing that we can't do on the track, guys, is we're not allowed to put GoPros outside the cars. So today we're really risking it, seeing if we've got the skills.
So right down here, guys, what we just passed, that's the road down to Vernazza and Corniglia. That's the second two towns here in the Cinque Terre. The first one, I always start at the top, so I say the first one is Monterosso. Got beautiful views out here, as you can see, but that's the way down to Vernazza and Corniglia. And then as we continue this way, we can go to Manarola and Rio Maggiore. We're going to continue probably all the way through all 5 of the Cinque Terre and see if we can get some cool pictures, maybe thumbnails, some Instagram fire, things like that. Anyways, we'll catch you guys later. Take it easy. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.